Having principles sometimes means you have to defend someone that you don't necessarily care for. And it's actually an easy thing to do. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of uncomfort, but once you realize that principles should guide your decision making process, things get pretty easy. And in the past, especially in recent history, I've had some pretty hot takes in terms of the independent comic book creator community known as Comicsgate, or by many other names. Essentially, it is a group of independent comic book creators that don't care for the way that mainstream comics have gone and the way that mainstream comic book creators have created fans, the way that mainstream comic book creators care more about pushing agenda and ideology than putting out good books, and thus that has led to the downfall of mainstream comics. This is a movement that I still support in principle, but I've had some harsh critiques and some sloppy critiques of. I felt like I had left the kind of scene for a while, and I came back, and everything was in disarray. When I first dove in, there were huge creators like Ethan Van Sciver of DC and his Cyberfrog project now, as well as guys like Doug TenNapel of Earthworm Jim, VeggieTales, and his projects with obviously the Earthworm Jim product, as well as Bigfoot Bill. All of these items I've purchased. And I will continue to support books that I think look good. I'm not going to just give my money to give my money, but good books get my money. And I would much rather support independent YouTube creators than losers that spend all day on Twitter arguing with the fans and telling them they are the ones that are in fact wrong. Now, I've made a different video in the past defending Doug TenNapel against an SJW outrage mob, where he had made some opinions that go against the commonly accepted Twitter narrative, and that is, he is a religious man, and sometimes religion and social justice don't match, even though oftentimes they act similarly. And I defended him, and I stand by that defense. Since then, Doug TenNapel has found himself on the outside of the core Comicsgate community, but I find myself not really caring about that. I care about independent comics getting out, getting created for people, by people who actually care about the customers. And early last week, the attack on Doug TenNapel's new variant cover began, eventually having to retract a variant cover that was done by a very popular new up-and-coming star Batman artist in the comic book community. Sean Gordon Murphy pulls cover for Doug TenNapel's Bigfoot Bill 2, Finger of Poseidon. Creator has posted opinions that are anti-LGBTQ. Now, these are one or two tweets that Doug has shared that will continue to haunt him in an industry that cares more about ideology than quality product, but hopefully he'll continue to just grow his brand on the outside. Now, this is via Bounding Into Comics. DC Comics artist and creator of Batman White Knight, which is a wild success, by the way, Sean Gordon Murphy has pulled his cover for Doug TenNapel's Bigfoot Bill 2 cover, Finger of Poseidon. Murphy had recently announced at the end of February that he had done a variant cover for Bigfoot Bill 2, and even promoted the Indiegogo project. And you can see the actual tweet here as of February 27th, which has probably been deleted. Oh, it's still there. You can see, check out Doug TenNapel's Bigfoot Bill. Sean Gordon Murphy, up and rising star. 65,000 followers here. And then you see, absolutely not, dude. You see a lot of social justice people in here. This is profoundly disappointing. This is just so many. Wow, way to work with transphobes. Very, very disappointing. These are opinions of people that, we know don't have any money. They don't buy comics. They never bought comics, but they want to exercise their control over it. A great example of one of these, in my opinion, giant losers is someone like Tess Fowler, who spends all day on Twitter rather than actually adding anything to society, tweeting out, "Today in comics, apparently, known Batman writer who supports bigots in a hate movement," this is all lies, of course, as well as supports the hate movement's apologists, has a new imprint at DC and is hiring also bigots. Lol. I told y'all in effing 2017, dude was a problem, but he makes Batman comics. I guess and the replies here are obviously disgusting. And it's just hilarious. These people don't actually add anything to society. He doesn't, somebody like Tess Fowler, who is one of those people that if you look, it's probably blocked you already, subscribe to the same ideology as guys like Steve Shive. So anyway, the story continues. Murphy recently explained that he spoke to TenNapel and had the cover pulled because TenNapel had posted opinions that some people didn't like. Murphy wrote on Twitter, which let's actually pull up the actual tweet here so we can know for sure what happened. So Gordon Murphy says, I recently did a cover for a creator, but it's been brought to my attention that that creator had posted opinions that are anti-LGBTQ. I've spoken with that creator, and the cover will now be pulled. It's interesting that Sean doesn't even mention who it is. And you see Ethan Van Sciver get in here and say, the creator in question angrily left our Comicsgate community because we found those views not to be keeping with our customers' first ideals. You've got to follow your own conscience and do what's best for business. Fans and customers of all varieties come first. Ethan is a very good businessman, never missing an opportunity to talk about this, to get in there and promote the movement, which is good. You see people in here, comic skaters are angry about that, it seems. Well, you can choose to either fall with them or be a decent human. You choose wisely and be a decent human. They're not falling. They're selling hundreds of thousands of dollars in books, and people still aren't mad. The thing is, you've known about years about Doug, and again, you have known for years. You're doing this because someone at DC said something to you. This is the world we live in. This is reality. Money, power, and fame over friends. Glad I'm not your friend. I'm sorry you're getting bombarded by the internet. You don't deserve this. And you see just a lot of snaky things here. Twitter is not real life. Don't let mobs of weirdos force you to throw a friend under the bus. His statement continues. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a big supporter of the LGBTQ. This is just baloney. You're like, of course, fine. Like, you really got to write it down. From the hard workers at my publisher to my fellow creators and my own family. He continues, I'm sorry if I hurt anyone or upset anyone. I've always wanted my work to be about inclusion and about people working together. It's a major theme in my Batman work, but I can't be connected to opinions that hurt the LGBTQ community. So much is meant to my life and upbringing. Doug TenNapel responds. Doug responded to Murphy's announcement explaining that Murphy was pressured by the LGBTQ community and Jim Lee at DC Comics. TenNapel wrote, the community put pressure on DC and SGM for doing a cover for Bigfoot Bill 2. Sean and I agreed that he should pull the cover. It's more important than ever that pro-family comic lovers to support my work and rethink DC for attacking my business over my beliefs. Again, he elaborates, if Christians, freethinkers, and pro-family people support DC, they are supporting the destruction of my business due to outspoken faith. The SJW got a scalp today by having SGM's cover pulled, and most pay them to do this. Doug continues, this has nothing to do with the book. It's Jim Lee at DC that doesn't want SGM to do a favor for a friend that goes against their brand. This isn't fake culture war to get super chats. This is real. He added that Murphy held out for as long as he could, and so on and so forth. It's really disgusting. He reiterated that he does not blame Murphy. He writes, I don't blame Sean. I feared that he could pull the cover. It's hard to be a guy who makes friends choose to either do a cover for a multi-million-dollar label at DC or Bigfoot Bill is going to be fine, but DC came after my business, and I'm not going to be quiet about this. Whether or not you agree with Doug TenNapel should not color how you feel about this. You can see his first book raised just under $200,000, and Bigfoot Bill 2 already has $80,000 raised. Now, I don't know what the profit margin is on these, but certainly there's still plenty of interest in independent comics. You can look at Ethan Cyberfrog as well, and see that plenty of people are buying these books. You can look at your boy Zach. Here's Cyberfrog with 9 days left, just under $100,000. You could look at the Expendables. These are all books that I would stand by. Why can't I see it? Did I spell it wrong? Well, the Expendables, I think the campaign is over, so maybe it ended. But that also was another six-figure campaign. So there are obviously people that are interested in independent comics, and I hope that they continue to be. And whether or not you agree with Doug and his religious beliefs shouldn't matter. What this is a perfect example of cancel culture coming after somebody they don't agree and forcing somebody to stop doing work and stop helping a fellow creator. Whether or not you agree with somebody shouldn't matter for the most part, I suppose. This is just a perfect example of modern day comics. And even though I don't support all the actions of Doug in dividing the community, and I don't support all the actions of those in the existing or remaining Comicsgate community, I do support what they are trying to do, and that is to take control of comic books and make them better, make a better product for people that actually love comic books. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. This is why I run exclusivelygames.com, which a lot of people, might not know. For all the articles and videos I make ripping on mainstream video game journalism, I put my money where my mouth is, crowdfunded a website, and continued to pay the monthly expenses of that website, which exceed $10,000 every single month, to give video game fans a place to go read articles about video games and gaming in general without being bombarded with politics. And that's exactly what this independent comic book creator movement is. Do I blame Sean Gordon Murphy? No, of course not. It's just a sad state of things, and what I would hope is that people that watch this remember that before they buy any more DC comic books, and give a company money, and let them know on social media that you don't support these kind of witch hunts, and people are allowed to have their own opinions. You can separate the art from the artist. It's really not that difficult unless you're a low IQ twittiot who does nothing all day but complain online. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.